A major blow to President Biden.
What the fuck is up with my YouTube right now, bro?
The Supreme Court dealing a major blow to President Biden's COVID response, blocking that vaccine or testing mandate for large employers. The justices, however, did uphold a more limited vaccine mandate. Our senior White House correspondent, my colleague Mary Bruce, has more from the White House. Mary, we've been talking about this as a major setback for the White House COVID response team.
Yes, Cecilia, good morning. This is a really big hit for this White House and their efforts to fight the pandemic. The court blocking its vaccination or testing requirement for large businesses. This is a move that would have impacted more than 80 million employees.
Dude, I've kind of given up. Like, I feel like COVID's kind of washed. You know? I don't know. I just like, I've like, or not COVID is washed, like, rather, the government dealing with COVID is just like the government efforts on, you know, preventing COVID from spreading is done now. Like COVID won, you know? Packwash of the American government. I feel like we're just, you know, we are just completely at the whims of nature at this point where like the whole point is just that, you know, we just got to sit around and hope that COVID is not going to be as deadly. Like, that's it. Like, if Omicron was as powerful as Delta, it would have been a rip. Like, million people getting Omicron a day that we know of. You know what I mean? It would have been so fucking. It would have been GG's for everybody. And we're still ripping. You know,
13 months of giving
nearly 2,000 people a day. SCOTUS and all these other, you know, all these other institutions that are supposed to protect the interests of the working class, those who, you know, need protection more than anything else. They're not going to do it. I don't know.
Requiring that they be vaccinated or wear masks and undergo weekly testing, but the court's conservative majority argued
not going to be as deadly. Projected deaths for next week. Next, we are in the 30K a day. Wait, what? Omicron is as dangerous as Delta? They just lied to you? Wait, what? Not going to be as deadly. Projected deaths for next, we are in the 30K a day? What do you mean 30K deaths a day? What are you, fucking crazy? That's not happening. That's not going to happen. It's not as deadly as 30,000 cases a day, does he mean? Here's the thing. Omicron is not as deadly and is not as strong as JMT22. Thank you for the 24 gift subs. Omicron is not as deadly. It's not as deadly as Delta. It's like literally not as deadly as Delta. You're fucking crazy if you think so. Top of the Lord.
Miss me with that top of the hour ad
okay.
break, baby.
So it spreads like a motherfucker, but it's not as deadly. We already covered this. We already talked about this. So the reason why people are still dying, the reason why people are still getting ripped is because it spreads like crazy. Okay. So it might actually end up killing more people than the Delta variant overall, because like, just because something is less deadly overall than the other variant does not necessarily change how many people die from it if it's spreading way, way, way faster and way more aggressively than the prior variant. Okay? Like death by 1,000 cuts. Like if Delta is like a fucking shotgun blow to the chest and it, you know, GG's insta knocks you out, let's say, then Omicron is, you know, Omicron is like a machine gun that's shooting maybe less than lethal ammunition. But because it's shooting it at a fucking crowd of people and the shotgun has a limited amount of ammunition, it can only kill a finite amount. Whereas the less than lethal rounds from the machine gun that's being fired into a fucking crowd is still going to kill hella people. Not everyone that gets hit with the fucking less than lethal round in the face is going to die. Okay? Some might even not have any sort of problem with that. You know? They could just take it to the chest. They get hit on the leg. I need to help the hogs understand this, okay? This analogy isn't for you. This analogy is for NA, okay? This is a hog analogy. They understood it. They're like, yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if a machine gun could shoot less than lethal rounds, but if there was a hypothetical scenario where tactically there was a machine gun that could shoot less than lethal rounds, I kind of understand what you're saying, brother. You know, people could technically die.
Hassle.
You know, I get what you're saying, brother. It's like, you know, you might get killed by birdshot too. Might be a pussy if you get killed by birdshot, but guess what? You know, depends on how many people are getting shot with the birdshot. Okay, getting peppered with it. Okay, let's continue.
That the federal government had overstepped its authority here. Now, in a smaller victory for the White House, the court is allowing a mandate for employees at federally funded healthcare facilities to continue. That will impact more than 17 million workers. The president praising that decision, saying it will save lives. But Biden says he is disappointed that the Supreme Court has chosen to block common sense life-saving requirements for employees at large businesses that he says were grounded squarely in both science and the law. Cecilia.
Yeah, it's really not the only thing the president was disappointed by. It was a bad day for the administration. They were also dealt a major blow in their efforts to reform voting rights.
Yeah, another hit here, Cecilia. The president's big push to pass voting rights is simply going nowhere. He has not been able to get his own party on board. He met here late yesterday with those two key Democratic holdouts, Senators Manchin and Sinema. But this morning,
I loved it, like, when the corporate Dems that are playing the profoundly important role of the rotating villain in the Democratic Party are playing spoiler for literally the bottom of the barrel legislation, like the legislative agenda for the Joe Biden administration. They literally they roll out the red carpet and they're like, come on, Jack, please, Jack, I'll do whatever you want. You know, what do you want? You want kids to work at the coal mines? You got it. Child labor at the coal mines, Jack. Let's bring back miners, Jack. I'll do anything. But, like, you know, if it's a fucking progressive that's like, this bill is not progressive enough, they're like, you need to be killed. How dare you? I hate the Democratic Party so much.
Morning, still no signs of movement. They've both doubled down on their opposition to changing Senate rules to pass this legislation. The president yesterday, as you know, sounding defeated, conceding he doesn't know if he can get this done, but he is, of course, vowing to keep up this fight. Cecilia.
Well, hey there. Let's bring in.
So Ben Shabibo and all the Republicans are like running a celebration tour on Joe Biden being like just a fucking loser overall. Because he is. I mean, he's a huge loser. Straight up. Mega L's left and right over and over again. Took a L with COVID response and recovery when it was literally a gift, okay? And is taking the fattest of L's with, like, every agenda item that was promised when he campaigned and when he was running for president. And now the Build Back Better, Build Back Bullshit Biden, Build Back Brandon Act, which already has been gutted like 8 times, starting point being $6 trillion. Down to like 1.8 trillion now, which even then is going to be nuked even further. That is on the chopping block too. He's got nothing. He's got nothing. He just washed up. And now the Republicans are, you know, doing touchdown dances.
Ben Shapiro, who actually knows what it's like to win a lot. He's the host of the Ben Shapiro.
What the fuck does he know about winning? He's literally a loser, dude. This is the guy that knows what it's like to win a lot. This guy? God, conservatives are so lame. It's just That's my homie right there. This is the guy. This is the guy that knows how to win a lot.
Podcast, and he's editor of the Daily Wire, and he created the whole thing and moved it across the country. Ben, how does it feel to take on the government and win?
It is pretty wild though that like Ben Shapiro was able to fucking like, that's how powerful conservative media is, by the way. And that's how much the conservative like think tanks and the conservative media infrastructure and conservative advocates and advocacy groups hug and kiss their content creators. That like Ben Shapiro could go all the way to the fucking Supreme Court and like take down the fucking vax mandate. Like this is, and then they say you know, there's a corporate structure that benefits socialist rhetoric or some shit. Like these dumbasses still have the capacity to advocate and say shit like this. Dog, I got banned for saying cracker for 7 days from the Jeff Bezos owned Twitch.tv. Okay. We are not the same. Like you can escalate a lawsuit to the Supreme Court and end up winning because like this deck is stacked for your interests. Okay. In your direction. I can't even not be fucking banned.
Hi Hassan. Can't wait for Donald Trump to electric boogaloo.
Like, my peer, when we were both gaining prominence in our respective ideological media careers, okay, was Charlie Kirk. I was debating Charlie Kirk at Politicon while Charlie Kirk was, one, being funded directly by billionaires and millionaires, okay? I was being funded by Cenk Uygur, who is like, to the tune of, you know, $20,000 a year in my nepotism backed job at the Young Turks. Okay. Charlie Kirk, on the other hand, was getting like funneled, you know, millions of dollars for his like think tank, going on Fox News all the goddamn time. Met Donald Trump, had Donald Trump at his like, you know, organization rallies. Meanwhile, like Barack Obama would fucking just as likely drone strike me if I was in the wrong place at the wrong fucking time. And so inconsequential and insignificant I am. You know what I mean? I could have been like a accidental drone strike casualty if I was in some fucking field in Afghanistan or Pakistan or some shit. Okay, so like, there's no fucking comparison there. Like I'm nothing. Okay. So it's pure projection whenever these guys are like, the billionaires are funding the media. They're controlling the media. It's like, motherfucker, you control politics. Like, what do you mean? You and everything you advocate for is quite literally at the heart of American politics. You are a status quo defender.
We here at Daily Wire are really excited about this. I mean, the fact is that we really put our money where our mouth was. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight the Biden vax mandate in court. We were the first company in America to file a federal lawsuit against the Biden vax mandate on major businesses. And watching them going down in flaming defeat is well worth that cost. Joe Biden, by the way, his approval rating.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dollars went into this legal case, so it fucked up his like Zoom. It fucked up his audio, I guess. Like, he didn't have $10 to spend on his audio to fix that shit.
More people now like certain types of bowel cancer than like Joe Biden at this point. I think that's well-deserved.
Wow.
Well, so going forward, given what the Supreme Court said yesterday, it will be up to every business now to decide whether or not they're going to have a mandate, but it won't be mandated, to overuse the word, by OSHA. It would just be from the company. So going forward, we heard this morning that apparently Citibank, based in New York City, they're going to keep the mandate. They've got 99% of their employees vaccinated, and they say, you know what, we think it's a good policy. So it's going to be up to every company now to decide how they're going to manage this pandemic going forward, because we've seen the vaccines are not as effective, perhaps, as we were sold. So people have got to figure out how to manage coronavirus, maybe forever.
Well, this is one of the big problems here, is that the vaccines are not preventing infection. They're preventing hospitalization and death, and that's wonderful and very important, but they're not preventing infection, which means that a lot of these vax mandates, which were designed to slow the spread, don't in fact achieve their stated purpose. And what the government was threatening to do was essentially put businesses completely underground. I mean, destroy the businesses if you didn't force your employees to vax or...
I love Sam Cedar's take on this. Like, Ben Shapiro is just like opposed to OSHA restrictions. He's opposed to OSHA regulations, okay? He quite literally is like, why? Hypothetically, if OSHA wanted to destroy my place of work for not having to regulate washing your hands after you wipe your doo-doo ass, they would be able to do that. And hypothetically speaking, that is unconstitutional. That is absolutely the nanny state destroying big business.
Love you, Hassan.
It's just that's his argument. Okay, food safety is for the homosexual Marxist liberal agenda. Hypothetically speaking, if I have doo-doo in my hands and I am touching your food, that is flavor. Too much doo-doo, and obviously the free market will kick in. Too much doo-doo in the hamburgers, and the free market will kick in with Yelp reviews, and no one will go there. But the government has no business in what I decide to put in my burgers.
Thank you, big bro.
That is the nanny state. That is communism. Incredible. Thank you, Ben. Thank you for destroying. Thank you for destroying the American government in the marketplace of ideas, the true marketplace of ideas.
Regularly tested mask. We weren't willing to do that at Daily Wire. And I can tell you that our Daily Wire offices in Nashville, people were crying as they watched the decision come down because people literally thought that they were going to lose their jobs over this sort of stuff. And it was not just our employees. I mean, there are literally tens of millions of people across the country who felt exactly the same way. So we're proud to have stood for that, and we're certainly glad the Supreme Court ruled the right way on this. By the way, it is worth noting here that if not for the fact that President Trump was able to appoint 3 justices, there is no question that the administrative state would be able to do whatever the hell it wants in this country. There were 3 leftist judges on the Supreme Court who said that OSHA could, with pretty much no statutory authority, create a vax mandate for 100 million workers. Those same 3 justices.
This is so wild because, like, OSHA should be able to do that. It is the entire purpose of OSHA. As a matter of fact, this Supreme Court case technically sets an insane precedent. Okay?
Well, here we are.
Now, there's a couple different things that we need to cover here that Ben Shapiro, of course, is not covering. This government's actions already covered for people who did not want to take the vaccine. So what the Supreme Court struck down was OSHA's authority to say that you have to either issue a vaccine mandate or, and this or is very important, or if you do not issue a vaccine mandate for your employees, the ones that are not vaccinated need to get tested every week. That's it. So what they are, of course, failing to fucking mention here is that, like, this wasn't even a vaccine mandate that they took down. This was a testing mandate that they took down. Which is hilarious because the argument basically is like, we don't want to know if we have COVID. We don't want to know if our employees have COVID. We don't want to protect our employees. They are straight up anti-testing. Okay? Like, it is not just the fucking anti-vaccine mandate movement here. It is the anti-testing movement. If you work at once, those places that is not abiding by OSHA, if I got sick, you should be able to sue the business. Ha, good luck. Ha, good luck. Hypothetically, if you try to sue a business, that means you're in the pocket of big lawyers. And therefore, you should be you should have lasers turned on you that immediately zap you into biomatter that the business could use. What is more important here is the company profit margins, not your own personal safety, not your autonomy. This is the essence of libertarian strategy.
And has to take immunosuppressants, and most of the country is like, oh well.
You're in the pocket of big insert whatever Ben Shapiro is destroying. Okay. Do you think the mandate has an effect on people? Like they're being forced to do something? There's no mandate over here. And what? The government may stop requiring death tracking. The doctor is claiming the government is going to stop requiring U.S. hospitals from reporting COVID-19. That's no, that's not going to happen. I don't believe that. That's insane, dude. They want you to wear masks and wrap yourself in syrup wrap 2077 style. Okay,
so
dude.
What you're trying to say is that Delta is like a vandal with high
do whatever the
power
fuck you want to do, okay? It literally doesn't matter. The government can't do anything, okay? They will not get you. Don't worry.
Right? Please
but like, don't you think it would be better for at least like the, you know, the safety regulatory mechanism to ensure the safety of the workers? I'm going to say syrup wrap, by the way, which, you know, we're moving past. I don't even care. Like, they can't even get businesses to fucking issue mandatory testing for employees that haven't been vaccinated. That is crazy. The courts claim that was since that you can catch it out of the workplace, then it can't be regulated in the workplace. But that's for everything. But you can catch it in the workplace as well. What the fuck? Like that makes, first of all, that's a public health measure. So a one-to-one comparison to something else that I'm about to make is not going to be adequate. But like, you can't make that argument for refusing to wear hard hats in the place of business because like, if you have, you know, you could technically have a fucking hammer or a heavy thing fall on your head without a hard hat when you're working at home. Like, you can catch a fucking concussion at home. So, you know, it's who is to say that you shouldn't get a concussion at the fucking at the workplace? Like, what do you mean? You can crash a forklift.
No, not Ben Shabibo.
You can crash a forklift outside of the workplace too. What the fuck? Public health measure. Federal government can't make that call. State and local sure can though, according to them. No, but that's insane. Like the federal government can make that call and should make that call. It's so fucking stupid.
I want to taste that shapussy.
I can catch E. coli from outside the workplace, but I'm liable if I come into work while symptomatic and spread it to my customers while in my food service job. Technically, if the big nanny state is trying to stop you from spreading E. coli to all of the customers, they need to be abolished. That's right. The free market will come in and kick in. The free market will magically, hypothetically kick in and stop you from spreading E. coli. Just kidding. You will give E. coli to every single person whose food you've handled, but that's the free market as well. And then they can freely choose to be saddled with medical debt for the rest of their lives for the treatment that they're getting at the for-profit healthcare facility of their choosing. That is, of course, if they still have any sort of hospital beds available, considering that all of the free thinkers are freely choosing to get ventilated because of COVID, because they did not get vaccinated for COVID.
Said last year that the CDC could just issue eviction moratoria indefinitely. If you had another 2 left justices on top of that, that would essentially say the executive branch under a Democrat could do anything it damn well pleased so long as it called it an emergency.
Great point.
Yeah, you're right. Well, it was a big blow for Joe Biden yesterday, but it's not the only one that he's experienced yesterday or this week. It's been one of the worst weeks, if not the worst week of his presidency, except for maybe Afghanistan. But let's go over some of the things that happened this week that weren't good for him. The CDC fact checks liberal justices pushing the vaccine mandates. Americans lose their faith in the CDC. Finding a COVID test is really hard.
Americans lose their faith in the CDC. I don't know if these people know this, but like, they're Americans. Okay? Like, why do Republicans talk about America like they're, you know, telecasting from space? You're also an American. That is not a good thing. Okay? Like, this is an institution that's supposed to have authority over the public on public health safety measures. This will hurt you as well. Like, where are you? Are you in a fucking bunker in Mexico? I don't understand. Like, you're like, look at the L's that the Biden administration is taking. Americans have lost faith in the CDC. Okay, cool.
The vaccine mandates. Americans lose their faith in the CDC. Finding a COVID test is really hard.
That is a huge L, too. Record cases across the country.
Cases across the country. Hospitals reaching capacity. POTUS pivots to voting rights with a speech even members of his own party panned. Stacey Abrams didn't show up for that event in Georgia, in her own state, on her own issue.
Inflation hits a 4-decade high. Consumers complain about bare shelves. More stories emerge about...
Inflation hits a 4-decade high. Consumers complain about all the bare shelves at our grocery stores. Stories...
This is pretty funny. You advocated for them to lose faith in the CDC. What the fuck's going on? Oh, you're saying that they did. Yes. They're like, that's my favorite thing, is that, like, Republicans will regularly do propaganda and then act like that propaganda wasn't incredibly successful. And it was just a natural phenomena occurring in the wild as they're reporting on the outcome of their propaganda succeeding. Where it's like, I know that I'm technically holding a box of matches. And I do have a gas canister in my other hand. But what I'm simply here to tell you today is the fire that nobody knows who started. Who started the fire behind me? No one knows. But the fire has gotten out of control. It might seem kind of suspicious. Plenty of people are saying that I was striking matches right before the fire had started. And also dousing everything with gasoline. But when will we find who did all of this burning? Probably the Biden administration. More on that at 7.
About a 2024 ticket without Biden or Harris. Harris mocked for that rough TV interview yesterday. POTUS stumbles through the teleprompter at the COVID event.
All of this is true, by the way. This is fact. And, like, the Biden administration is such a disaster that, like, 75% of the things that they've posted on this, like, PowerPoint is actually their own doing. You know what I mean? It's not even it's not like anybody. Fox News didn't urge Kamala Harris to be the fucking charisma suck, out of touch robot that she is. You know what I mean? Like, she decided to do that on her own, right? And by the way, we have to watch that. I was gonna watch that today. It is a banger. It is absolutely a fucking banger, dude. Where is it? Kamala Harris. This one is so fucking funny. Wait, no, it's not this. Does anyone have that tweet?
I'm a big boy now.
Where it was like, where can people find, the testing? And she was like, you just Google it. There was like a couple Kamala Harris moments from this TV interview that she conducted that were just incredible, okay? Just so much fuego on this, dude. It was so spicy. Oh, let's go. Let's check this shit out, dude.
Administration just go out and secure more at-home tests.
For the record, the failure from this administration specifically was
9 months.
A bunch of testing facilities closed down because they thought that people were not going to need it. Like a bunch of the testing production facilities, like the COVID test, rapid test production facilities, straight up closed down because they were like, all right, we're just not going to fucking, we're just not going to need it. No one is going to, it's not going to be like a crazy amount of people that need tests. Like, that's crazy.
After the Delta surge in the fall, why are we at a point now where folks still can't get tests?
But we just ordered, I don't have the number in front of me, but millions of tests. We have 20,000 sites where people can go. And I urge people to, you can Google it or go onto any search engine and find out where free testing and the free testing site is available.
But Madam Vice President, the fact that we're still telling people.
Bro, y'all want tests? Google it, dumbass. Fucking Google it. Like, I don't fucking know. I mean, what did you not think that this was going to be a question in this exclusive interview that your PR team set up for you? Did you not have like an actual answer for this? This is crazy, dude. Like, and that's crazy from a PR point. Okay, that's crazy from a PR standpoint that they like did not have an adequate answer for this. But also on top of that, like that's crazy from an administrative standpoint as well. Like they actually don't have an administrative answer for this either. Like the administration has not figured out at this stage, when we're like nearly a month into like the COVID spreading bonanza of Omicron, and they still don't have like an adequate response to this. Where it's like, we instituted the Defense Production Act to make sure that we are beefing up the previously closed additional testing production facilities, and every American will now get it, as we've talked about before. Every American will now get COVID tests in the mail. Here's the website that you can use that does not crash when you click on it. Or do the fucking public-private partnership that they always do. I don't know. Go to like fucking Amazon and work with Amazon to fucking make sure, and UPS to make sure that, you know, COVID tests are delivered to people, or work with the USPS. Which is laughable. That's never going to happen. Of course, the American government is dog shit. But to deliver COVID tests to every single American citizen, okay, every single American citizen, you know, depending on how many people are in their households, according to census data, or indiscriminately, they're going to send like 3 to 7 COVID tests per week to every American citizen. You know, that sort of thing. These are things that for the record, for people who like obviously live in the United States, what I am saying sounds like insane, right? You're like, what? They can't do all that. What are you, crazy? We're America. What I'm talking about is already familiar to everyone that lives outside of the United States. And Felix and I were talking about this last night as well after the stream. But like, what I am mentioning right now is a procedure in process in countries that are not the United States of America. Okay? This is already happening in other places. So just want to mention that before we continue. And the conversation I had with Felix revolved around this as well, where it was like, he's American and I'm not, right? So we were talking about like COVID recovery, COVID response, like what could have happened. And even like the Joe Biden, you know, cryptic message about like, if you're not vaccinated, you're going to die, Jack. And he was like saying that he doesn't really care about the Biden administration saying that because it's understandable. And I was like, I agree. I mean, it is understandable that they're saying that, and it's like typical of Biden. I'm not going to like fucking yell at them too much. But that's not what the government's supposed to do. The government can't give up. And I realize like there is the reason why I have this attitude about a potential hypothetical, theoretical, strong government that is supposed to fucking protect its citizens is because I'm Turkish. And no matter how fucking corrupt, no matter how much of a kleptocracy the Turkish government is, and no matter how little money they have, ultimately, when it comes to stuff like this, the Turkish government does what they need to fucking do to protect its citizens. So that is the main difference here. Why don't you just engage in mutual aid? What?
Looking good today, King Hassel.
Dude, anarchist shut the fuck up challenge. We are talking about a centralized government that adequately provides necessary care for every fucking single individual in all of these other functional countries. We are not going to fucking mutual aid our way out of this problem. Shut the fuck up.
8 months of
just let me have a conversation about what a federal government is supposed to do, okay? And then give you examples of what federal governments do actually engage in, okay? The actions they have successfully engaged in countries where they do have adequate funding, and in countries that are more functional as a government, and then also in countries where the government is not even functional and doesn't even have the same level of fucking wealth that the United States has, okay?
Let's go, chat.
Mutual aid is a Hassan unlock cheat code. It is so fucking stupid. It is so fucking stupid. It is so American too. That is what makes me so angry. It is like such an incredibly American approach, which is like, dude, I don't understand. Why don't you individually solve this problem and get other individuals to individually solve this problem? It's like, why do we have a government, dog? There should be no government then. Like, it's so fucking frustrating that, like, I am talking about what the government should do. This is an incredibly powerful fucking institution, okay, that we have democratically decided is supposed to take care of us in times of need. And then motherfuckers will still be like, I am going to be a capitalist, hyper-individualistic American, but from the left. Thank you.
K-Hive for Eva.
Remember back in the day when I would talk about, like, the transactional nature of, like, every fucking social interaction, when you're so far left that you end up fucking turning on this, like, weird thing where it's like, yes, I'm in favor of making sure that workers get their adequate pay, which is precisely why I believe every interaction that a fucking streamer has with their community is supposed to be transactional in nature, and therefore there should be financial, financial payment for that. It's like, okay, dude, yeah, that's very different than what ANCAPs believe, okay? Thank you for doing that. American when it's convenient, Turkish when it's not. Nice, Hasan. Why are people trying to fucking bait me? Stop. Stop. Take a minute off. Think about your actions. Okay.
People to Google where you can get a test, and
well, but come on now. I mean, really, if you want to figure out how to get across town to some restaurant you heard is great, you
name the lead singer of Grateful Dead. The lead singer? I don't even know if Grateful Dead is the lead singer, but I know Bob Weir. The only reason why I don't listen to Grateful Dead, guys, the only reason why I have this,
time to retire my
the only reason why I have this is because my ex-manager used to manage them as well. Jerry Garcia. No, I don't know anything. Like, I've been to one concert.
Pog.
I don't know anything about Grateful Dead. I'm not like a deadhead. I do know Bob Weir. Like, quite literally know him and know his daughter as well. And that's it. That's the only reason, because, you know, Bob Weir was managed by my manager back in the day as well. So that's the only reason why I have this. I don't listen to music.
I just came back from a 10-day trip to Florida and somehow dodged corner Hasan 15 months.
I mean, it is a bit of a flex to be like, well, you know, I used to have the same manager as one of the Grateful Dead Andys, so like, you might listen to all their music, but like, you know,
this grammar is so raw.
I have more of a connection than you do, at least. So get fucked.
usually do Google to figure out where it is. So that's simply about giving people, right, a mechanism by which they can locate something that they need, something that can help them.
Well, we're 2 years into.
You think she would expand on the military medical team on where they should be stationed, where you can get tested at a location? Yeah. That would be cool if we were a competent government. But we're not, so that's not going to happen. People forget Hasan is a weirdo who doesn't like music like Bezos. Wait, you think Jeff Bezos doesn't like music? I got to get back on the music tip, boys. Anyway, let's keep going.
Complain about all the bare shelves at our grocery stores. Stories about a 2024 ticket without Biden or Harris. Harris mocked for that rough TV interview yesterday. POTUS stumbles through the teleprompter at the COVID event and asks for the czar's name. He didn't even know his name. POTUS admits voting rights bill will likely fail as Senator Sinema.
North Korea fires fresh missiles, lashes out over... Dude, damn, they're keeping better... Hey,
Instagram.
Holding Biden accountable on Twitter, that account... Guess what? You know who's actually holding Biden accountable? Fox News. I didn't even know about half this shit, bro. Oh, this was the better part. Oh, this was what I was looking for. Oh yeah. This answer from Kamala on whether we should change COVID strategy sounds like me in 10th grade trying to bullshit my way through a class presentation. Oh, this was a banger.
6 former administration officials last week wrote that open letter urging the administration to change course, to change strategy. Is it time?
I love you, Hasan, even though
it
you
is
hate
time
every of
for
us
us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree
6 former administration officials last week wrote that open letter urging the administration to change course, to change strategy.
Let's run that again.
Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
That's a fire. That's an absolute fire statement. Okay, that's a banger. You're crazy. You're crazy if you don't recognize that that's a banger. First of all, I am fully in support of our, leaders being completely zooted out the fucking ass.
Been a while since
like Kamala is here.
Glad
like
to be back. Hope
she is barred out. Okay, nobody who is completely sober is ever going to make a statement like this. Okay, she is higher than giraffe pussy, straight up.
Love you.
Just because it's not alcohol doesn't change the reality that she is not fucking absolutely just on a spaceship. Okay, who the fuck? What? I'm gonna run it again.
Time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree. For us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
Slay queen. Absolutely slay. Goated. What is she supposed to do? She's the vice president. Fuck it, dude. YOLO. I love that. I love that statement. It is that's a sentence. There are words in it. Doesn't have to make sense. Fuck you. Huh? What do you got a problem with that?
What's up?
Comes
Hasan?
out that Kamala Harris actually is a big fan of Kratom, as someone in the chat was pointing out. She's actually a big Joe Rogan Experience fan. She decided to test out Kratom and is just addicted.
Hi, chat.
For us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
If it is to be said,
Smile any
so it
smile.
is.
This is fucking excellent, dude. Joe Rogan made me try Kratom and I threw up when was sick for days.
Less than 3.
Don't they get prepped for this? How was she caught off guard? Bro, there is no preparation. The preparation was just fucking taking way more Xanax than what she is prescribed, okay? That was the... That's how she prepped for it, dude. Listen to DS Forever. It's time to be P, a real P. Anyway, Gallego doesn't rule out 24 primary against Cinema.
The fact that she is blocking voting rights legislation. So
I don't want to talk about Cinema. I don't even want to cover it. It's going to fucking trigger me.
Takes on the floor before he arrives even at the Hill to talk to her about it. Senator Manchin tells reporters that he hasn't talked to the president since before Christmas and that there is no renegotiation of the Build Back Better. SCOTUS knocks down the vaccine mandate for private businesses over 100 employees. National Security Advisor announced no further talks with Russia as the Russians get more aggressive, Ben. And then two more things. North Korea fires fresh missiles that are lashing out over our U.S. sanctions, the third round of those. DHS announces 104,000 migrants between March and August of 2021, and only 50,000 were checked in with ICE. Sorry for the long list, but our producers put all of that together, spent a lot of time. We wanted to read it to you and just show the people how bad this week was for the president. What's your reaction?
Bro, nothing. Listen, guys, fresh missiles are the scariest, okay? You can't be having old missiles. It's like scallops.
I mean, Joe Biden's presidency has fallen and it cannot get up. He has a serious problem on his hands. He came into office making two specific promises that he just could not keep. One is that you could spend your way out of a problem that did not exist, namely the economic recovery that was going to take place regardless.
How likely do you think Russia will invade Europe this spring? Are you fucking insane? Yo, there's no shot this is a real person, right? Like a real human being with a real human being brain. Sub for 11 months. Like, how likely? Zero. That's 0% likely. What the fuck are you talking about, dude?
1 year Hasli just got.
Why are people like this? 0% chance. Okay, less than fucking 0% chance. Who are they? What are they invading with? Like, what do they got? It's like asking me how likely is.
More like poop enema.
How likely is it that, like, fucking, I don't know, Mississippi will invade the rest of the South or something? Like,
has capital.
time for us to do what we've been doing. American brain can't blame him. Propaganda strong. Do you not know the situation on the Ukrainian border, Pepega? I do know. I do know the situation at the Ukrainian border. Y'all are fucking bananas, dude. I am. I am aware of it. I told Vladimir Putin not to invade Ukraine. He listened. Dude, if you unironically think Russia is going to invade Europe, you are living in fantasy land. Like, what the fuck? Oh, Jesus, dude.
Oh, yeah, baby.
The press is hyping up war potential, so a lot of people are getting scared. Yeah, they always do that. But, like, even the mainstream media press, like, openly is stating that even mainstream media press, like, even if you listen to NPR, okay? Like, there are troops at the border of Ukraine, right? And Russia is saber rattling, okay? Yeah, Texas has unironically a larger GDP than Russia. Yes, this is true. It's like, what do you have to say about Texas single-handedly seceding and then invading the rest of America? Like, that's the same energy, okay? Texas would have a better shot in comparison of, like, invading the rest of America, and including Canada, than Russia has a chance at invading the continent of Europe. The highest likelihood is the top of the hour ad break, though.
Ad break invade the next 60 seconds.
Oh my God! Luckily, we did it at the same time. Yes, the invasion of the ad break is here. Obviously, listen, Vladimir Putin says we will not invade Ukraine. Just simply do not let Ukraine get into NATO. You know, an alliance formed specifically to threaten the USSR in the past, and now Russia in a similar capacity, an imperialist alliance. That is what the sole purpose of NATO is. Okay, it's to enforce Western imperialist attitudes and Western imperialism, forcibly so. Right? And the very same thing that Vladimir Putin has said to Joe Biden, I will say to you, chatters. The threat of a 60-second ad break is imminent, and it will happen. You can't stop it, but it will happen. It's a defensive pact. General Patrick, are you actually a general? NATO is a defensive pact, he says. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, totally. Okay, yeah. Yeah, like when they defended, when they were, sometimes the best defense is offense. So he's right. General Patrick. Okay. Anyways, I was saying, here's a defensive pact. The 60-second ad break is coming. You can defend yourself from that 100%. Better than anyone else by subscribing for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime or by getting gifted a sub. Okay? That is the greatest defensive pact against the top of the hour ad break. Thank you, Shoddy Plays, for the 10 gifted subs. Thank you, Is VC, for the 5 subs. And thank you, John the Homie, for the 10 gifted subs. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. USA is pushing Russia hard right now because Blinken takes it personally that he failed to protect Ukraine from Russia and Crimea under Obama. Lil.
Of how much money we spent, and he inflated the economy beyond its capacity. Now we have massive inflation. And the second promise he made is that the government would be able to, quote unquote, shut down the virus. It was a lie when he told it. He continues to maintain that lie, and he has boxed himself in. He cannot get out of this. These are all problems of his own making. He could control the border if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to control the border. He can't control the virus because no one can control the virus.
U.S. police receives 1/10, $7 billion of the entire Russian military budget and military vehicles per year. People out here like, Russia is going to invade Europe. That's fucking laughable, dude. That was a good one. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I love when people say stuff like that. By the way, the only difference between like, what do you think about Russia invading Europe? The only difference between a sentiment that fucking dumb and like, what do you think about Afghanistan threatening our, what do you think about the Taliban threatening our freedom of speech? That's the exact same energy, except like, the other one is like an old enemy. You know what I mean? The other one, like the memes have existed for a very long time for a specific State Department purpose, American imperialist purpose, you know, Cold War, Red Scare propaganda, all that sort of stuff, an ideological enemy. So that one makes a little bit more sense in your mind, even if you're a liberal or even if you're a liberal or a conservative. Versus like when you, but that's it. Like it's the same exact energy. It's like, yeah, we went down there to put some boot in people's asses in Afghanistan, specifically to defend America's freedoms. Yeah, dude. America's freedoms were under threat by pedophile warlords, which we gave bags of cash to. That's precisely how we defended America's freedoms. While killing a fuckload of people. Hoorah! All right.
He could leave the economy alone and just let it grow, but he can't do that either. He has created this box, and now he cannot get out of it. And so he's railing at the wind and shouting at the clouds like Grandpa Simpson and trying to convince everybody that the 7 in 10 Americans who don't like him must be segregationists. No wonder this guy is so...
I think this is sort of an edgelord take by Hasanabi that ignores Russia already doing this elsewhere. Every regional superpower in their own way tries to assert dominance in their own respective geopolitical interests in their own regions. Turkey does this as well. Russia does this as well. They are technically a micro superpower. I know that seems oxymoronic, but it's normal fucking politics for a state to engage in such actions. Okay?
Can you run the top of the hour 30
if you think that like Russia is doing something that is completely unheard of or completely different than what every single fucking country does when they are generating their own sphere of influence in an effort to fucking build a defensive measure against imperialist superpowers coming in and doing whatever the fuck they want, you are out of your mind. Okay? Obviously, Russia's superpower status is nothing in comparison to the actual fucking superpower, the United States of America, but and the same with Turkey as well. But what they're doing simply is what every fucking nation does. Every nation does this. This is not defending Russian imperialism. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I don't know why some people get super lost in the fucking sauce and say like this is defending Russian imperialism. This is defending Russian imperialism. They have nothing. They're nothing, okay? Oh man, they sent like special forces to Kazakhstan. That's crazy. That's Russian imperialism. Like they're defending the fucking corrupt Belarus governance. That's Russian imperialism. We forget. Our State Department forgets about like a million different things that are profoundly more influential and powerful than what you are saying on a daily basis, okay? That's not even like on the forefront of our type of joke. Nice whataboutism. It's not whataboutism. It's not whataboutism at all. Would it be better if they didn't do that? Certainly. Okay. Would it be better if they didn't do that? Absolutely. Without a doubt. Do I care ultimately? No, because I have no control over that. You know what I technically, theoretically should have control over? What America is doing. And I have no control over that either. But at least that's something within the scope of potentially making change. Okay? Shut the fuck up. Acting like you legitimately care or you understand what is going on and that you think that this is a profound threat to people's lives and livelihoods and well-being is just getting lost in the fucking sauce, hook, line, and sinker. Okay? That's it. Meanwhile, the CIA has been training Ukrainian paramilitary secretly since 2015 because that has worked in the past. First of all, that wasn't even a secret. They also literally funded the Azov battalion, which was straight Ukrainian Nazis, by the way, like actual fucking Nazis in Ukraine. And then it was, and that was a bipartisan effort, by the way. Amy Klobuchar, shouts out to Amy Klobuchar, girl boss, and also John McCain, rest in piss. And then when it came out that they were like straight up fucking arming Nazis in the Azov battalion, which was like an openly Nazi battalion, then they decided to say, oh no, we're going to keep funding, you know, obviously Ukrainian paramilitaries, keep training them, but like we're going to make sure that it doesn't end up in the hands of Nazis. A similar thing has happened with our arming of Saudi Arabia. In Saudi Arabia, weapons that we have sold to Saudi Arabia have actually ended up in the hands of Al-Qaeda. Remember Al-Qaeda? I know they've been kind of washed lately. Nobody really talks about them. Al-Qaeda is still in operation in Yemen. Okay, I can't go to Yemen. I'm an analyst. Guess what? You know who can go to Yemen or is going to Yemen and using American weapons in Yemen, where there's a man-made famine going on still, a genocide happening as we speak? Al-Qaeda. That's who's going to Yemen. That is precisely why I think it's like fucking laughable when you're like, oh, no, what is Russia going to do? They're going to do World War III. It's not happening. When you said you talked to Putin and he listened to you, I knew I have to follow you. Yeah. Forgive me for being stupid, but it sounds like you are saying no, they won't invade Ukraine because the U.S. is worse. No, I don't think they will invade Ukraine because they are simply fucking threatening. They might, and that's not good. They should not do that. But ultimately, I have no power over that. I have no say over that. The only thing I do have a say over is technically, theoretically, what the American government is doing. But even then, I can't have a say over that either. So instead of endlessly fucking talking about like, wow, what Russia is doing is incredibly, incredibly fucked up, especially because I know what comes after that. It's chatters quite literally assuming that Russia is going to invade Europe. Okay? It blows my fucking mind that Russia is going to invade the continent that they sell natural gas to. Like they're the continent of countries that is collectively keeping their economy alive, okay? Like that they're going to invade Europe. If they want to deal with, if they want to stop Russia from invading Ukraine, they'll just say, we're no longer buying fucking natural gas from you.
Did I miss
okay?
the top of
That's
the
it.
hour ad break?
It's over.
Yummy Twitch Prime.
Chat will say you're defending Russian imperialism and then turn around and defend American imperialism. Look, we've moved on. Now that we've moved on from Russia, now we're at China, though. Yeah, I know. See? There's always a country that's threatening America's authority, okay? There's always a country out there. They're the big bad guys. Unironic Ben Shapiro viewer, thank you for the 5 gifted. Got the same energy as like the other thing is the same energy as like North Korea's missiles, dude. Man, those North Korean missiles are gonna fucking they're finally gonna come to America. They're gonna wipe out California. Okay.
Ben, the fact is he's got the job for 3 more years. We're hostage to it. If you are him, and we watch Bill Clinton pivot, we've watched other presidents pivot, and you go back in history, it constantly happens. So Bill Clinton actually recommended to him, go back with Build Back Better, pick 2 things you want and reintroduce it. And he goes, pull back. So if you're him, you got to fire everyone, beginning with Ron Klain. Whoever loaded the prompter for that speech in Georgia has to be fired. Whoever sent him to Capitol Hill while Senator Sinema was on the floor has to be fired. His staff is as inept as...
Yeah, dude, they gotta... I love when Fox News is acting like they care about Biden's approval rating for anything other than just like content. Like, thanks. I really want to hear from this guy about like how Biden can improve his administration. You know what I mean? Like that is at the peak of concern trolling where it's like, you know, it's really Fox and friends. We are a friend to the Biden administration. We want him to do well.
His speeches. So where do you go from here with 3 more years?
I mean, the biggest problem for Joe Biden is that, forget his staff, Joe Biden, his entire image was that he was gentle, empathetic grandpa. And then he allowed Afghanistan to fall to 8th century cavemen and got 13 American service members killed and left hundreds of Americans behind. And that image was gone. And then he decided that he was going to call everyone who disagreed with him on federalization of all voting procedure a segregationist or a slaveholder. And now it's really gone. His image has been so tarnished at this point that I don't think that he can pivot to the center the same way that Bill Clinton did. Bill Clinton never lost the image, at least early on in his presidency, of at least being this sort of genial person who felt your pain. Joe Biden has lost that, and once you lose it, I'm not sure you can regain it.
We're doomed.
You know, Ben, ultimately, I think a lot of people who voted for Joe Biden have buyer's remorse. And now, fast forward to the close to the end of his first year in office, people are going, now, why did we pick him again? And it was because he ran as a moderate. But once he got into office, then suddenly the leftists in his party and the people he installed in the White House pulled him so far to the left. I think if he goes more into the lane where he ran, I don't know that he would win re-election, but I think certainly his poll.
Dude, he's just... I love when the handshake emoji between fucking corporate Democrats and Republicans happen, by the way, where it's like corporate Democrats are like, man, we can't be going so far left, you know? It's just crazy. It's scary. And then Republicans are saying the exact same thing and people don't recognize that it's like if Biden is a leftist, dude, if Biden is a leftist, then, you know, he's just leftism is nothing. It's meaningless. Okay. Yeah. Left of Lenin, Joseph, left of Lenin, Biden, dude.
Poll numbers would go up because I think a lot of people, you know,
so what they need to understand here is like what liberal Democrats who listen to this and go, wait a minute, that sounds a lot familiar to like what my opinion is. Okay. Neoliberals that hear this, that claim to be leftists or progressives or whatever. What they should recognize is that, like, these guys don't have the Democratic Party's best interest at heart. You know that, right? Because, you know, you engage in team sports. That's the only way you can analyze politics. So why the fuck is their argument for Joe Biden the exact same as you? Just think about that. Why is their concern trolling of the Democratic Party? Why do those talking points feature the exact same talking points as you know, you as your concerns over the Democratic Party.
They're smacked in the face with the inflation and everything else, and it hits them all day.
You're on the same team, brother.
By this administration impact me all day. Whether I'm in the grocery store, whether I'm at the gas station, whether I'm wearing a mask somewhere, all day, Ben.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, listen, he made a historic political blunder by deciding to move to his left in an attempt to be LBJ or FDR when he had 50 senators plus Kamala Harris and a very slim House majority. He did not have a mandate to do the Bernie Sanders routine. It was amazing. He beat Bernie Sanders because he was not Bernie Sanders, and then he allowed Bernie Sanders to body snatch him. And suddenly he was doing Bernie Sanders' agenda. Well, that was never going to...
Yeah. The Bernie Sanders agenda, the new FDR. Remember, boys? Remember how everybody wrote in unison that, like, Joe Biden had the capacity to be a new FDR? And people would yell at me when I was like, he's not. You're fucking stupid. We're not even in the first 100 days of his administration yet, Hasan. It's like, it seems like you're just anti-Democrat. You have no other politics, but you're just anti-Democrat. Oh, well, I was right. It doesn't fucking matter. And you were wrong, as always.
That was never going to be a success. The only way that he has a possibility of re-election, or that any successor of his has a possibility of re-election.
Yeah, the only thing that he's close with the FDR administration is internment camps, okay? But not for the Japanese, but instead this time for Haitian migrants and, you know, asylum seekers that are coming over the southern border. So there's that. There's that FDR analogy that's apt. But other than that, you know.
As if he abandons his grand and glorious dreams of being a historic president and just goes back to being what he was theoretically supposed to be, which was a caretaker president who's just not going to be Trump. I mean, that was essentially his pitch. I'm a dead guy who's not Trump. And it kind of worked, but it turns out that as much as he may be close to not being alive, at least in image, he certainly had a very live political agenda that his...
Okay, we're done. We're done with this. I can't watch the rest of it.
It has been a...
President Biden's approval ratings hit new low amid major setbacks. Oh, it's so good. So fucking good, dude.